Hey, it's Gids. Welcome back. Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself who you are? Well, today, we're going to see if a simple man from the Imperial Legion can make his way through the land and free Skyrim once and for all. The rules are simple. I can only level in things that Hadvar himself levels in: one-handed, heavy armor, archery, and block. And I can only equip items and armor that Hadvar uses or are supplied by the Empire. Much to Hadvar's horror, he looks on as the prisoner transforms into himself before his very eyes. But unable to do anything about it, he leads us to the chopping block regardless, and we begin the game. A dragon, who is clearly helping the rebel scum, lands and stops the leader of the stormcloaks from being executed, so we make our way out and meet up with our twinsy. We help Hadvar protect a child from the dragon, get bodied by something, and join Hadvar in the keep. Once inside, Hadvar forgives our crimes against Skyrim remarkably quickly and tells us to grab some gear. So we equip some light armor. I know it's not studded like his, but the stats are the same, so I'm allowing it. And we grab ourselves a basic sword. Making our way through the dungeon, we run into some rebel scum and make short work of them. We grab 3 minor healing potions since Hadvar has those, which will help a little. We help our Skyrim Palpatine, who doesn't believe the dragons are coming. His assistant takes the opportunity and leaves with us. His freedom is short-lived, he dies in the next room, but hey, at least he didn't have to hang out with that guy anymore. I'm not going to use any exploits this run, because Hadvar is a good rule-following boy. So we kill some spiders, use our bow to kill the bear, and head out into Skyrim. I decided to see how long I could follow Hadvar. I've never actually done this before. We had a pleasant walk. He showed me where Bleak Falls Barrow is, stopped with us to grab the warrior stone, helped us fight some wolves, and let us join him in meeting his uncle in Riverwood, where we shared a meal and talked about our plans. After saying goodbye to our double for now, I made my way to Whiterun. I talked with this guy who wants us to pick sides, so after hearing that one side liked the Empire more, I went with that one so he would leave me alone. Jarl Balgruuf says the thing,
Not stand idly by while the dragon burns my hold and slaughters my people.
gives us the studded Imperial armor to complete our look, and tells us to go grab him a stone. I'm not too interested in that while the threat of rebels still exists in Skyrim, so I head over to Solitude to join the army. I watch a man get a controversial height-shortening surgery, it seems to be a success, and go talk to Tullius. He doesn't seem to buy that we're Hadvar, but tells us we can join anyways. Good old legate Ricky gives us the simple task of taking out a whole bandit camp by ourselves just to become a simple soldier, making me wonder if they do this for every new recruit, and if they do, how are there any bandits left? Either way, I encounter some men harassing a local about a woman they're looking for. I make note to help out later with that if I can, since the Empire seeks only to protect its citizens. Speaking of protecting its citizens, I went over to this camp and killed about 10 of them. Tried to use one of them to level up my block, but I only have some basic healing potions, and I'm also impatient, so that didn't last very long. After clearing them out, I reported back to Ricky, and they made me a real soldier. I say my vows to Tullius, which I guess makes us married, and I go to the outfitter. We grab some heavy armor from him, since I can actually level in that, and Hadvar will be wearing this the next time we see him anyway. We encounter a thief in our beautiful lands, so I make Skyrim a little safer for its citizens, besides this guy, obviously. I get some disrespectful kills on the local wildlife, and meet up with Hadvar 1.0.
You too, huh?
Inside, Ricky gives us a nickname Auxiliary Cord, or Auxiliary for short, and we find ourselves plenty of rebels to kill. Ricky tells us what our father never did,
Good job.
and we run into some Draugr. I use a level up to heal during this fight, we grab the crown and head back to Tullius. He tells us that Whiterun is in danger, so we go to tell Balgruuf about the situation. I've never done things in this order before, but apparently Balgruuf gets really short with you and won't even read the letter until you retrieve the Dragonstone for him. which is odd considering he's in charge of a city that will soon be overrun with rebels. But no one said he was the brightest crayon in the box. So we have no choice. The war must wait on Balgruuf's need for a stone that holds no importance in the game and will never be mentioned again. So I make my way over, taking the least optimal route as possible, and spending more time trying to trick the mechanics than just going the right way. We make Skyrim a little safer, kill a big spider to protect one of Skyrim's fine citizens, free him. He was apparently on a run because he continues on his way after this, only to die a few moments later to a Draugr. Such a tragedy. I watch a Draugr do our work for us, solve the world's hardest puzzle, and kill the Draugr overlord before he can turn off his alarm clock. I decided to stop by Helgen to see if we could find that kid we saved, but the place was empty, so I guess we'll have to look elsewhere. I went to see if Balgruuf would finally read the letter we gave him. He won't.
Not now. Not now. Not now. Not now.
A dragon attacks. I decided I should actually start honing my archery skills a little because I want that stupid fight at the throat of the world to go a little bit better this time, and this dragon goes down without too much of an issue. Balgruuf finally takes a look at the letter and decides that now is the time to act. Would have been nice 2 days ago, but we'll take what we can get. He assumes we have nothing better to do and sends us over to Stormcloak headquarters with his axe, assuming we'll be fine dressed in full Imperial gear. We find some locals harassing a dark elf, have a staring competition with them, and decide to help out later if we can. I tell Elfric that I'm going to stop him. He doesn't seem fazed. He monologues his entire plan to attack Whiterun like an idiot, and we head back and tell Balgruuf the whole plan. We hear the quietest and most uninspiring speech from Ricky, and spend the next 10 minutes chopping up soldiers as they run past us using Clash of Clans tactics, spamming a bunch of soldiers until you can push through. It doesn't work for them. I spend some time chasing down the remaining soldiers. One warns us not to attack him again as I stab a sword through his chest, and we go back to Tullius to report our success. He thanks us and gives us a cool sword. I had to decide here if I was going to use items that are gifted to us by the Imperials during this run. I opted not to use it this time, but let me know in the comments if you think I should use items like this on themed runs. It could be more interesting, but I'll leave it up to you. We get tasked with stealing some orders from the stormcloaks, so I go back to Windhelm and wait for the courier to get there. I ran into that guy who harasses local dark elves and challenged him to a fistfight while I waited. After I punched him repeatedly, he decided that we were friends, and the courier I was looking for showed up. I followed her out of town, totally not suspiciously, dressed in full Imperial gear, and killed her once we were about 10 feet outside of town. With the orders in hand, I went back to Ricky so she could change the info. There was a dragon at camp, so the Imperials showed it what we're made of. Ricky formed the documents, and I went to deliver them to the most gullible officer I've ever encountered. He, of course, was totally fine with the fact that an Imperial soldier was giving him these totally legit documents, and we joined some men nearby to raid another Stormcloak fort. These fights go pretty well. I join the swordplay until my health gets low, then I shoot the rest with arrows. Tullius thanks us again, says take this blade and hands us a shield, and we head to Riften to make our way to the next Imperial camp. Along the way, we find Froki's shack. Turns out the boy we rescued at the beginning is now living here after his parents were killed during the dragon attack. Content that he now has a place to live, I head over and begin our next mission. Our mission is to get some dirt on the Jarl's sidekick in Riften, which shouldn't be too hard since everyone in Riften is corrupt. I get naked for extra sneaky abilities, literally walk past some guards, grab a letter, walk back out and hand it to her, and go back to the room to talk to her about it. She tells us of an Imperial convoy in exchange for our secrecy, so we head out to raid it. We run into our old buddy, ourselves, and get ready to raid the camp. We try and fail to do this stealthily in heavy armor, but we still find success in the end. Another fort takeover. This one is a bit larger and goes pretty well, although my 3 minor healing potions don't do much anymore, but we can always use our bow if our health gets too low. I encounter an old orc who wants to die in battle, so we oblige him and give him a fancy warrior's burial as well, dropping him off this waterfall. I ran into some seducers who seduced the blood right out of my veins. I've actually never done any of the 10th anniversary content in this game, so if you have any ideas for runs you'd like to see with those, let me know. I really don't know that much about them. We meet up with Bestie again. He wants us to sneak in and free some prisoners, so we wait and then walk straight in. We free a few, they gear up, and we get through the fort without too much of an issue. We head back to Tullius. He makes us legate. Not sure how long that took Ricky, but it took us about 2 hours, so that's cool. We encounter a random bear who seems impervious to arrows, but does die to a sword eventually. Time for the final fort takeover. Not much to say here. I do make sure and grab every arrow I can from these guys, as I remember that I'm going to have to fight the World Muncher up on the top mountain one of these days, so I should probably be somewhat prepared. It's time for the final assault on Solitude. Tullius gives one of the speeches of all time, and we head in. I mostly sat back and tried not to put all my arrows in the backs of my fellow soldiers. I was mostly successful. Once inside, we asked them to surrender instead of killing them like the last 100 soldiers. They refuse, so I put a bunch of arrows in Ulfric's backside, completely disrespect Galmar, have a casual conversation with Tullius, and kill Ulfric to take his throne. I mean, to free Skyrim from the rebel threat. We don't stay for the speech, but we head to Riverwood to make sure that Hadvar got the ending he always wanted. Once we're satisfied, I try to see if you can pickpocket Delphine for her key and start the quest early. You can't, but it was worth a shot. I head back to Whiterun, have a great chat with Nazim's wife.
Here you stand, talking to a married woman. Why? Am I that interesting? Or perhaps there are other things on your mind.
Apparently, charisma runs in the family. I find the woman those Red Guards were harassing people about earlier. She seems alarmed that they're looking for her and invites us upstairs. Turns out she's a noble hiding from assassins, led by a dude named Kamatu. We go out and talk to a prisoner to find out where this Kamatu is hanging out, and head out there to have a chat with him. He's hiding with some bandits inside, so we kill the bandits and go in to talk with him peacefully. He says she's wanted for treason and that they can take her back peacefully. We agree to bring her out and see if they can't reason it out themselves. We lie a bunch to the woman and she makes her way outside to escape once again. Hadvar in his brilliance was actually lying to both parties the whole time, and we did this so I didn't have to fight 5 assassins at the same time. Kamatu casts the spell of Fall Down, and we take him out with relative ease. Another fine citizen assisted. On my travels, I encountered a man who vomited on people as a form of combat. I was intrigued by this and talked to him about it. Maybe there's a challenge run in the future with that. Anyways, up the mountain to High Hrothgar. I tried battling it out with the Frost Troll, but my basic arrows couldn't damage him faster than he can regenerate health, so I left him and continued up. Once inside, we grow our own Greybeard, waiting for the Greybeards to get through their whole ritual. Eventually, through sheer perseverance and the ability to look at my other monitor while this is going on, I made my way through this part of the game. You know the deal. Off to retrieve old Yurgi's Windcaller. Nothing too crazy here, just some jank that proves unmodded Skyrim will always be my favorite Skyrim. Man, I love these terrible animations. Surprised it isn't here. Off to get it back from Delphine. The cultists are here as usual. They don't stand much of a chance against the legate of the Imperial Legion. And we go to talk to Delphine. She tells us she really wants to make a dragon meat stew, but hasn't been able to kill one herself. So we head back over to help her kill one. If you start this fight by chopping him while he's still in skeleton form, the fight really doesn't take too long, even with a basic Imperial sword. We give the dragon a surprise haircut. It doesn't go too well. Delphine tells us the whole lore of her people, which I try to get through as fast as possible. You know the deal, it's party time. Give this nerd our gear, get naked, put on our party clothes, and do this part so fast that we basically shove a drink in the man's face before he enters the party. which for him is probably the best way to be greeted at the door.
Allow me to introduce
After chopping through some Thalmor and playing hide and go seek whenever our health gets low, we make our way to a prison where they're holding a man with information about Esbern. We make sure to make the morally correct choice of killing the traitor who sold us out, who gives us the last warning as we gut him,
Don't do that again. Last warning.
and ditch the party without even saying thank you to the host. Very rude. Over to Riften to grab Esbern. He joins our merry crusade and helps us take out some Thalmor on the way out. Some random cat lady attacks me in the middle of Riften. We kill her and head back to Riverwood.
What a waste.
Esbern tells us he knows where some cave paintings are, so we group up and head out to find them. We skip an entire camp of enemies by letting them fight the dragon while we go inside, solve some puzzles created by Harvard graduates, get a little too personal with the floor, and find the wall we're looking for. There's a special shout that can help us, so we go back to the Greybeards, who think we're there to give them the horn. We do that because we have to, and then they yell at us a bunch of times, and then I get the chance to tell them while I'm really there. I want to go back in time. Arngeir warns us that every good story universe gets completely destroyed when you introduce time travel, which is right, just try watching a Marvel movie, and gives us the rain rain go away shout. We try and get through the dialogue with this old dragon as fast as possible, but he loves talking. Eventually he tells us of the Elder Scroll we need to go grab, so off to talk to an old man about his magic box, which for some reason he just hands to us, a total stranger. I head to the Dwemer ruins. I let Jadar battle it out with the spider. He wins and almost kills me as well. I do what I normally do, which is get tired of this area and start sprinting through, which results in Falmer sniping me with arrows and ice spikes until I become a part of the wall decorations. But eventually, through sheer sprinting, hoping, and bunny hopping, I make my way through this area. We run through Blackreach without too much of an issue, solve this puzzle by typing in our credit card number and those funny little numbers on the back as well, and grab our Elder Scroll. Not sure if I just happened to get the Howard Special Edition of this game or something, but for some reason, Alduin really doesn't like showing up in this flashback. I don't think he's shown up in the first time of any of my playthrough videos. Anyways, I was second monitoring again, which is when this happened, and I realized it was taking way too long. So much like me buying the game, I did it again. We've all bought Skyrim a few times, just admit it. This time Alduin shows up, we learn the words we need, and we get ready for my favorite part of this game. This time honestly doesn't go too horribly. I only have 3 minor healing potions, which basically aren't good for anything, and if a meteor hits me, Hadvar does the Macarena for like 10 seconds before I can aim again. But about 10 minutes and 130-ish arrows later, I finally bring Alduin down. First try too. Lucky for us, Skyrim is free from the rebel scum, so Balgruuf is totally down and willing to bring a dragon into the middle of a civilian town. I tried to defend this poor guy, but you can't stop fate. We pin down the dragon, who seems to like that a little too much, and instantly says he'll do whatever we want, which does make us feel a little dirty, but that's fine because he gives us a free dragon ride. Off to Skuldafn, which is ancient dragon tongue for area most likely to sprint through, I think. I do just that, although I did kill all the Draugr inside this time since I can't sneak past them. I of course sprint past our favorite dragon priest and make our way to Sovngarde. Once inside, I find more rebel scum which I take care of. The second guy I was getting ready to fight, but Alduin takes care of him for me, so thanks for that. I go to battle the average Skyrim enjoyer. He gives us free facial reconstruction surgery once, but we get him the next time. Talk to the village idiots, and join them in the final fight. I did discover if you stand near Sun, there's a chance a meteor will hit him and then he'll join the fight, which does make the fight a lot easier since he's jacked out of his mind. I sit back and shoot arrows while everyone fights. Near the end I got overconfident and ran in for the kill. The kill happened, it just wasn't Alduin. So it was time to try again. This time went better, and Hadvar, a simple soldier for the Imperial Army, not only saved Skyrim from the rebel stormcloaks, but saved all the 9 realms from the World Eater himself. armed only with his Legion gear in a dream. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and have any other ideas, let me know. Also, liking and subscribing really helps, so thank you for that. But for now, I'll see you in the next video.